It is Tuesday, which of course means it's time to answer the questions that you guys send in every single week on the BrendenPlayz forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums or in the YouTube comments section down below. We are coming off the big Payback PPV, and oh my god, it's only, a couple of weeks until Elimination Chamber already. But in today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Payback, and, well, we've already got to start to talk about the build-up towards Elimination Chamber, because we already basically know the whole card already. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they go with the Elimination Chamber and the kind of the turnaround. You know, can they make Elimination Chamber an interesting pay-per-view? I know they have the stipulation behind it, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they go. I bought a couple new games this week as well, so this week I'm going to talk about them and talk about that in my little gaming segment. And I'm still working on the Survivor Series pay-per-view, so if you come to my Let's Talk Tuesday podcast today and you're wondering what's the deal with Survivor Series, when's it coming out, a few days behind. I've been busy, I've been doing some things, and I'm still going to be busy for quite some time, but I'm going to try and get it out for the weekend. I'm still going to do the promo. Yeah, I've just been busy, so be patient with me, and I'll try and get the pay-per-view out as soon as I can. But, so yeah, let's get straight into, we'll start off with Payback, I suppose. I guess it was the first thing that happened before Raw, but Payback, overall, I gave this show about a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was a decent show. The Fatal 4-Way match was great. Really enjoyed that. Obviously, the problem with that match was clearly the fact that it was just so much involvement by Kane. He was basically the fifth man in the match. You could almost mistake him for being in the match himself. That's how often he got involved. J&J, they were always there. It just kind of turned into a bit of a fuckfest. And that, to me, makes it really difficult to enjoy a match. And you kind of knew what was happening. And that was really the big problem with Payback overall. It was a very predictable show. Overall, I wasn't surprised at all. I think the one thing that surprised me the most was the Ascension beating Sandow and Axel. What are they, the Meta Powers or something like that? Yeah, so, and I didn't even watch the match, so there you go. But that was probably the biggest surprise of the pay-per-view, to be honest with you. That was really the problem. It was just a bit of a dull show. Nothing really happened. And I guess when you have a pay-per-view Elimination Chamber just around the corner as well, it also makes it pretty difficult to really have much happen on Payback. You don't want to have too much happen and have to do the next pay-per-view only 2 weeks away, because you want to try and have something at Payback happen and then carry it over to Elimination Chamber. The problem is, though, they're having Payback 2 weeks later, the Elimination Chamber, and then 2 weeks later after that, it is Money in the Bank. So that's 3 pay-per-views in 6 weeks. That's a lot. That is a lot. It makes it very difficult to make those pay-per-views interesting. And if you want to know my thoughts about it all, go to last week's podcast. I had a pretty big rant at the beginning of the show. And speaking of last week's podcast, it was a good show. We had FD on. We discussed everything to do with Payback, building up towards it. And, of course, if you guys aren't aware, we are on iTunes. I've kind of completely forgot to mention this at the start of the show, but we're going to do it now. We are on iTunes. We are on Spreaker. We are on Stitcher. And I'm trying to get on iHeartRadio. It probably won't be long till we get there. So if you guys do have a Spreaker account, please go and search up BrendenPlayz or Let's Talk Tuesdays on Spreaker and follow BrendenPlayz on Spreaker. Because if we get 100 followers on Spreaker, we can get the show on iHeartRadio. And it's just one extra platform we can get the show on. More eyes for the show. Helps build and grow the show. I think we're already at 42 followers. I mean, we were on about 3 or 4 followers, and last week we got 40 followers just like in one day out of nowhere. I don't know what happened, but we did. So that was awesome. And we are rapidly climbing the ranks on Spreaker. I don't know how we're doing on iTunes, but we're doing pretty well on Spreaker. We've got over 1,000 downloads, and yeah, it's looking really good. Spreaker's looking really good, and some good numbers happening. And it probably won't be long until, I'm not being cocky or arrogant, but I think we could be number 1 on Spreaker in a very short amount of time. I think maybe, 6 weeks' time, I think we may be number 1 on Spreaker, because our show is getting some really good stats on there. 200 to 300 downloads a week, and not a lot of other wrestling shows on there are really getting that many downloads. So, yeah, Spreaker's doing really well. So I thank everyone that has been supporting the show on Spreaker. And that's probably where I would recommend going to at the moment. Obviously iTunes as well, but I can't actually get a first-hand look on how well the iTunes is going. And that's kind of a little bit disappointing. But if we can figure that out, then definitely go to iTunes. But, just listen to wherever you want. So like I said, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher as well, and of course YouTube. So wherever you want to listen to, you can. That's kind of the big deal. We want to try and get the show to as many places as we can. So you guys have been really, really good with that. I appreciate that. And you guys have been supporting the show wonderfully. As well as that, we got BrendenPlayz t-shirts now up. And I actually went and got myself my first t-shirt from the new range of t-shirts we just put up. So we, of course, if you remember, we had some new logos come in about 2-3 weeks ago. So what we did is we got all these new shirts made for the logos. And they look pretty good. I've got one on right now as I'm speaking, and it looks pretty damn nice. So if you want to get yourself a BrendenPlayz t-shirt, unfortunately, you just missed out on the sale. We had a sale last week. If you've been on the website and the forums, you would have heard about it. But we did have a sale. Of course, if you did follow me on Twitter and Facebook as well, I mentioned on theirs, which, by the way, you should be doing that. But, yeah, so we had a sale on the shirts last week. They're about $14 at the moment. They're only $20, still pretty cheap. And they really feel really good. I'm actually quite surprised how well they feel. And they look pretty nice as well. So if you want to get one, they are available, and you can go to my website and click on the merchandise tab at the top of the page, and you can get yourself a BrendenPlayz t-shirt. And as well as that, if you want to help out the show and leave a PayPal donation, you can do that on the website as well. There's a PayPal link on the front of the page, and you can leave a donation and help the show keep running. And so far, so good with the show. I mean, this is, I think, our fifth week of the podcast, maybe the sixth. I can't remember. I'm kind of losing track already, but things are looking really good. So I appreciate everyone that has been helping out with the show. Anyways, let's segue back to what I was talking about before. We kind of went from Payback to plugging some things back to Payback, so it's a bit of a jumbled show. I didn't write any notes for this week, that's why. So, anyways, Payback. So, like I said, I didn't watch the kickoff show. I decided to sleep in instead, and I went ahead and watched the rest of the pay-per-view, though, and you know, it was like I said, it was a decent show overall, and it was very predictable, and pretty much everybody that I expected to win kind of won. Sheamus beating Ziggler, I kind of expected that to happen. Bray Wyatt beating Ryback. As much as I wanted Ryback to win, I knew Bray Wyatt was probably going to get that victory. And Neville beating Barrett by DQ. I thought that Barrett would actually beat Neville clean, but that didn't happen. And, you know, I guess really the only big matches on the show was the I Quit match and the Fatal 4-Way. So I'm going to spend most of my time just talking about them. And there's really not a lot to say, though. There's not a lot to say. I mean, the I Quit match, I really don't like I Quit matches. I'm not a fan. I just don't see the value in it, because to me, I Quit matches, they drag on, and there's no false finishes. It makes it very hard to get into the match. It's just kind of like, do you want to quit? And, you know, most of the time, nobody's ever going to quit after just a big move. It's going to have to be something like a submission, or, you know, something where they're just in agonizing pain, and it's always, you know, more often than not, it is a submission. So, you know, if Rusev takes an AA, he's not going to be like, yo, I quit after an AA. He's going to be, you know, when when Cena got the STF in, you knew that was going to happen, and I predicted it on the show that Lana was going to go on along and say, I quit for Rusev, and that would begin the dissension between Lana and Rusev, and that's exactly what's been happening. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of that. I really think Rusev and Lana is a good pairing, but I'm kind of liking what they're doing, and we'll talk about this more in detail when we get to Raw, but the Dolph Ziggler and Lana thing kind of intrigued me. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give that a chance. That certainly seems very interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but, you know, a Rusev going after Ziggler, who's, you know, Rusev trying to get his woman back. He know Rusev's kicked his own woman to the curb, but that doesn't mean anybody else can have her. Rusev still owns her. It's still his property, quote unquote. So Rusev going after Ziggler and looking to kick Ziggler's ass could be definitely pretty interesting. So that I do like. But, yeah, so the I Quit match, look, we knew Rusev was going to lose. We knew that was going to happen. We knew Cena was going to win. The open challenge thing is working out really well. So I think that's best that they keep going with that, and I'm glad they did, and I'm glad Cena is winning. And I do like Cena as the US champion, but I just felt as though, what next for Rusev? That was my big question. What do you do with Rusev next? And they've already kind of started to plant the seeds for a Ziggler and Rusev feud, as I just mentioned. So to me, that's okay. As long as Rusev didn't get buried 6 feet under because Cena beat him and then they just start to forget about Rusev and not do anything with him, that would have been my problem. But now that they're still got some plans for him, they're still doing something with him, that's okay with me. So, I'm okay with that. But can Rusev survive without Lana? I think he can, but will he be as effective? That's where I start to begin to wonder. You know, can Rusev still be the dominant monster heel? And I always honestly thought Rusev could move up to the main event. You know, I've just felt as though he had that ability, and I do really like Rusev. I like his matches. I think he's very underrated as a talker, and I know he's, you know, puts on the accent. Probably doesn't put on the accent, but, you know, has the accent, and he's always talking in whatever Bulgarian and whatever. You know how it goes. He's always doing that, but I kind of find it very entertaining, and he kind of, to me, plays the character very well. I like it. It's believable. It's believable that he actually hates Lana. It's believable. He does a really good job in selling that to me. So I like Rusev. I'm a big fan. So I was a little concerned about how he was going to go, but now things are looking okay. So I'm a bit happier, and I can rest a little bit easier in terms of Rusev. So I Quit match, I didn't really think the match was all that great. It was just an I Quit match. The referee asking, you know, Rusev, is he going to quit? Or, sorry, Cena, is he going to quit? Every time there was a move done was just kind of like, ugh. And I don't know. I just don't like I Quit matches. I think it had been even last man standing matches. We know how that goes with Cena, so I don't know. I don't know what match could have been to make it better. Maybe just a no holds barred match. Something to make it this one a little bit better would have been probably the better idea. But yeah, so I just don't like I Quit matches, and Cena in an I Quit match makes it very predictable. And that, like I said, was the big problem with the pay-per-view in general. So the main event, the Fatal 4-Way, look, we knew Rollins was going to win. We knew he was going to walk away somehow, you know, sneak away with the belt. It was a good match. It was a great match with a pretty underwhelming finish. The pedigree, I don't know if he botched it. I don't know what happened, but it just felt as though he didn't get that off right. And I do like Rollins doing the pedigree. I think that's kind of cool. Triple H passing that down to somebody. I think that's pretty cool. And now that he's not doing the curb stomp, you know, why not do the pedigree? I think that's cool. I like it. I just didn't like the way that Rollins did it at Payback. He just felt as though he didn't get it off that well. And it just kind of felt like a very underwhelming finish. It just kind of felt like, oh, it's done now. And, you know, Randy losing and taking the pin. Randy's been taking a lot of pins lately, so kudos to Randy for doing the right thing and, you know, starting to try to put a few guys over. And I was actually surprised. I thought Ambrose was going to take the pin, but it seems as though they're actually going to do something to Ambrose, and I don't know what's next for Randy and Reigns. Someone's, you know, asked me, are they going to do a Randy and Roman Reigns match at the pay-per-view? I don't think so. I think they're just going to leave Roman Reigns and Randy Orton off the pay-per-view and then build them up and have them in the Money in the Bank match at Money in the Bank. So I think that's where they're going to head with that. And probably put Ambrose in there too. I don't know. But then again, who's going to face Rollins? You know, your guess is as good as mine. So I don't know. Maybe probably put Roman Reigns in that match and have Reigns versus Rollins one-on-one at Money in the Bank. Have maybe Rollins win by some screw finish, and then have a rematch. I think it's Battleground. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I think it's Battleground. And then have Rollins win decisively over Reigns, setting up, or have Lesnar come in and, you know, F5 Rollins after their match, and then have Lesnar versus Rollins at SummerSlam. So that's maybe where I see them going with that. I don't know, but that's an idea. But yeah, it was just a predictable match at Payback. Good match, though, with a bad finish. But, you know, that's not going to ruin the whole match for me. Just because I felt as though the pedigree was oof, okay, it's over now. It's just kind of a bit strange how it ended. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Payback. I mean, all the other matches were just kind of standard as you expect matches. I did like how the New Day did the whole switcheroo, the twin magic kind of shit with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was a great heel way to win, and I thought that was very well done, so I like that. That was probably the only other highlight of the show, to be honest with you. The Divas match, we knew how that was going to happen, who cares? And yeah, that's about Payback. Like I said, it was a very average show. The main event kind of made it a lot more enjoyable than I expected, but the Ziggler and Sheamus match was good. I think the Barrett and Neville match is pretty good as well. So there was some good matches on the show. So that kind of makes it a 6.5 out of 10 for me. But just very predictable pay-per-view, and just not a lot happened. Like nobody turned, no championships were changed, and all the matches kind of went how I honestly thought they were going to go. So it's just a little bit predictable for my liking. But yeah, Elimination Chamber up next. So we'll talk about that in a moment. First, we'll get to Monday Night Raw, and Raw. Overall, I really enjoyed Raw, so a couple of good Raws in a row, so this Raw, you know, they started off pretty well. It was good to see Dean Ambrose getting the opportunity that I've been begging for him to get. This is the right call. This is the right move. Don't try and force Reigns on at the moment. I mean, I still think Roman Reigns has to turn heel. He's got to turn heel. I mean, But although this week, in the last couple of weeks, the boos are going away, the cheers are coming back, and that little thing he did with Ambrose, that payback with loser gets the beers or whatever, buys the beers, I thought that was pretty cool, so I like that. So Roman Reigns, he's still doing okay as a face, but I just feel as though a heel turn would just set him off and get him in the right direction. And you could warrant Reigns winning the belt by a heel turn. Maybe if Lesnar won the belt back, and then you actually have Reigns versus Lesnar, and then Reigns actually beats Lesnar. You know, Lesnar is the face, Reigns is the heel. Maybe that could work. I don't know. But definitely, Roman Reigns just struggling a little bit, but he's still hanging in there, which is good to see that he's still trying. But definitely Ambrose is in the right position right now. I think this is a good filler rivalry for Rollins before Lesnar comes along, because we know that's where they're headed. We know that's the next move. We know that's the overall plan. But definitely having Ambrose in there, we've seen Rollins and Ambrose have a great rivalry last year, and why not? I think they've still got some unfinished business to attend to, and I think most people are still liking the Rollins and Ambrose matchups. I'm certainly am. I'm happy to see them go at it again. So an Ambrose and Rollins match at Elimination Chamber, to me, sounds really good. I'm actually really keen for that. I think that's going to be a great idea, and I think we can all basically understand what they're going to do with it. I don't think much is going to happen at Elimination Chamber. I think maybe Ambrose gets a fair opportunity, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, maybe they have the Money in the Bank rematch instead of Reigns. I don't know, but I think Ambrose may get a fair one-on-one shot, and then maybe Kane, as always, Kane got to always get his interference in. Maybe Kane helps Rollins again, and then Ambrose doesn't get another opportunity. Maybe he does actually have to go to the back of the line. I don't know. But yeah, so a lot of ways that they can go with Elimination Chamber. And I think the Chamber pay-per-view itself is surprisingly going to be pretty okay. I mean, the tag team Elimination Chamber match looks really good. I like that. The problem I have with that, though, is why is the Los Matadors in there and you don't have Rowan and Harper? That's really my only grief. Other than that, the tag team lineup is about as good as it can get, so that's cool. Just take the Los Matadors out. They just suck. Who cares? So when you got Rowan and Harper, who just absolutely dominated, Fandango and Ryder on Raw, why wouldn't you put them in the tag team match? I mean, maybe they're saving them for a tag team title win down the road. I don't know. But to me, having those two big guys adds that extra element to the match, because you already have the Lucha Dragons in there, and they're high flyers. Why would you need Los Matadors, who are pretty much high flyers as well? You don't really need those two different teams in there. So if you had the Harper and Rowan, that would add a different dynamic to the match, and to me that would suit a lot more. And that would make it a little bit more interesting anyways, and that would make another team that you could actually believe could win, because nobody's going to believe Los Matadors are going to win. Nobody in hell. No one expects them to win. I don't even think the Lucha Dragons have a chance. I don't think the Primetime Players or the Ascension have a chance. It's really only Cesaro and Kid and the New Day that has a chance. But if you throw Harper and Rowan in there, that's a one tag team that we could go, okay, these guys could actually win it, and we'll be okay with that. We could believe that they would actually win this one. So I don't know how they're going to go with that, but I think that's probably the right change. So what I would definitely do is have Harper and Rowan beat the living hell out of Los Matadors, either at the pay-per-view or on Raw next week. Take them out, injure them, and take their spot. That's the only logical way that they should be able to do that. But other than that, Raw, I guess we need to talk about the biggest talking point out of Raw, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens debuted on Raw, and he came out, accepted Cena's open challenge, and that was surprising. I kind of expected an NXT guy to accept it. I thought maybe Finn Balor, but I thought Kevin Owens was probably the right choice, and the way they did it was really cool. It wasn't just an open challenge. Owens came out and basically trashed the US title, said the NXT title is better than the US title, and I've been wrestling just as much as you, Cena, So I know you've been the champ and you've been in the WWE forever and you like to think you're a veteran, but I've still been around just as long as you have. So I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really cool. And Owens, he was great. Did the nice powerbomb to Cena, then trashed the US title and cut a little promo whilst he was leaving the building as well. So Cena and Owens at Elimination Chamber. This is a match I would never have actually predicted. I kind of expected a NXT or an open challenge, I should say, at the pay-per-view. I expected a Cena open challenge, but a match ahead of time is good. Are they going to put the title on the line? I'm not exactly sure if the US title is on the line. If it's not, then maybe Owens could possibly win. Maybe, maybe not. Because, you know, if Owens does win, the NXT champion beating Cena would be cool. And wouldn't it be cool if you also had Cena go to NXT and go to enemy territory, go to Owens territory, go to Owens playground and have a match there against Owens? Wouldn't that be cool if they kind of, you know, use both different places? Kind of like let's say you treat NXT as like ECW and then Cena's at the WWE, you know, it's kind of like these two different brands going at it. Wouldn't it be cool if they did that? Have Owens, the NXT champion, he's from this place, Cena's from this place. We have a match at your playground, and let's have a match at my playground. It would have been awesome if they had done this, and maybe have Cena versus Owens at TakeOver, and then Cena versus Owens at Elimination Chamber. That'd been cool, I think. I would have liked that. So maybe they could do something like that in the future. And I think an Owens and Cena match would have been great. Maybe it would have been awesome if you could do it like a Rollins and Owens, the WWE champion, the NXT champion, you know, the rookie trying to make a name for himself. You know, that would have been cool. I think I hope they do that. I hope they do something like that in the future. But definitely Owens and Cena, that's a match that could go either way. I think most people would have to say Cena's going to win, and probably be very similar fashion to the way Zayn or Neville lost. He put up a valiant fight. He probably beat Cena up for the whole match. Cena gets his little moves in at the end and wins it, but just comes away with the victory. And, you know, you make the NXT champion look good, make him look strong, but Cena, of course, has to win. That's probably the way it's going to go. But, you know, if you had Owens beat Cena and make a huge upset, maybe that's a way to get Owens on the main roster. Maybe they want him to push him up there. I don't know. I mean, Owens has got a lot of unfinished business to do in NXT, I still think. I think he's got some, you know, he's got a few rivalries he could do, and he could probably grow a little bit more in NXT, but I still think that Owens, if he moved up the main roster tomorrow, it would not matter. I think he'd be fine. I mean, Owens is a great wrestler. He could do it all. I think if he moved up tomorrow, who cares? It'd be fine. So, look, an Owens and Cena match, Elimination Chamber is great. It would have been lovely to see a TakeOver special happen like 2 weeks after Elimination Chamber, then you have a rematch at TakeOver. You know, that would have been great, but it is what it is. And who knows, maybe they'll just do it on a standard NXT show. Hey, that would create a lot of buzz for the network. That would create a lot of buzz for NXT. Cena, Owens, NXT, you know, that just sells it right there to me, man. But anyways, what else happened on Raw? I mean, Ambrose, it was really his night again, but Seth Rollins got the last laugh this time. He was standing tall, hit the pedigree on Ambrose at the end of the show. No Randy, no Reigns. I don't know what happened there. Ryback looks as though he's definitely got a bruised rib or a broken rib, and that sucks. You know, he fought hard. He got beat by Sheamus, but I'm kind of happy Ryback's in the Elimination Chamber match for the IC title. It gives him something to do. And I think a Ryback and Sheamus feud, that to me sounds awesome. I think that's great. You know, Sheamus has been picking on the little guys, as Ryback said. Why not pick on the big guy? That sounds great. I think that could be a really good rivalry if they actually extend that one out. But it looks as though they've already dropped the Bray Wyatt and Ryback feud. I don't know. I mean, what was the point of that? It was just meh. But I think if Sheamus won the Elimination Chamber and you had a Ryback and Sheamus feud for the IC title, I could get down for that. I think that'd be cool. Maybe even Ryback wins the IC title for something different, and then Sheamus goes after Ryback to get the title, and Sheamus eventually gets the title of Ryback. Maybe that could work. Maybe that's a good way to kind of get Sheamus some heat, and Ryback finally wins a big title and actually finally achieves something big in his career. I don't know. That could be cool. But the Elimination Chamber itself, the chamber match for the IC title, could definitely go a lot of ways. I mean, R-Truth being in there, come on. I mean, ugh. Why? Why R-Truth? I mean, I guess if there wasn't R-Truth, it probably would have been Luke Harper or Stardust or something, but, I mean, and the rest of the guys in the match, I like it. I think the Chamber match is going to be great. The tag team match in the Chamber, I think that is a very different dynamic and a very different element that I really am intrigued by. And I think that could be really good. And obviously Cena and Owens and Ambrose and Rollins. So Elimination Chamber, so far so good. Probably going to have Naomi versus Nikki for the belt as well. So yeah, I think it could be, or maybe even a triple threat with add Paige in there. So maybe it could be a pretty decent show. So I'm looking forward to Elimination Chamber now, after watching that episode of Raw, and that's pretty much all I have to take away from Monday Night Raw. It was a good show, I did enjoy it. Now, probably the other big show that's happening this week, of course, is NXT TakeOver. They're still billing Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, so apparently that's still going to go ahead. I don't know. You know, Zayn 100% to compete. Last I heard, he was injured and out, but they're still advertising it, so I'm guessing it's going to go ahead. I'm going to watch TakeOver. I always watch the TakeOver specials, but I don't catch the weekly NXT shows. And I know a lot of people kind of crucify me for that. Like, why don't you watch the NXT weekly shows? I guess after you watch 3 hours of Raw, you just kind of had enough. You know, my wrestling quota is filled for the week. Because if I try and watch TNA, try and watch Lucha Underground, try and watch NXT, even if for some weird reason I wanted to watch SmackDown, that's a lot of wrestling every single week. That's a lot. So just watching Raw is enough for me, and the pay-per-views, and the pay-per-views happen so often now, so you get like 6 hours of wrestling in every week. That's a lot. So, NXT, I will watch the TakeOver special, I always do, and they're always a real treat. So, you don't really need to watch and follow the weekly NXT shows. You know, you can have your eye on it, you just keep an eye on and see what's happening here and there, watch a couple of clips here and there to know who's who, and you can really kind of get it. You don't really have to watch NXT weekly. You know, you will have to do that to get a couple things, but the commentators explain it. They actually know how to commentate on that show. They know actually how to do promo packages and things like that on that show. So you'll be fine. But I will be watching NXT TakeOver. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, the rumor is my man Samoa Joe. Will he show up? That's pretty much the main reason why I'm watching it. I'm a big fan of Samoa Joe. He was always one of my favorites in TNA. Obviously, the Angle feud was amazing. And, you know, he didn't really achieve all that much after it. He was there, but he did some things in Main Event Mafia. It might have a bit of a splash, but Joe's always been great. And he's been working out in the gym, obviously. I've seen the photo of him on Twitter. He's getting in shape, getting ready for the WWE run. Apparently, he's signed. Apparently, you know, some rumors going around. Apparently, he's going to be at TakeOver. And there's some rumors that he may show up in the main event. And if that's the case, I'm watching it. I cannot wait. Hopefully Samoa Joe does turn up, because that'd be awesome. I mean, a Joe versus Owens feud would be fantastic. Fantastic. So, I hope Joe doesn't spend too much time in NXT, though. I really want to see him move up to the main roster. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I think, he's 35, 36 now. Obviously, he's still got 4 or 5 good years left in him. He's fine, but you know, I would like to see him get up there, start to develop his character, and you know, see how he goes on the main roster sooner rather than later. And I think Joe could definitely be a main event guy in the WWE. I think that's for sure. I think Joe is fantastic, and I think he offers a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big year to finish off 2015, and then 2016 might be the year of Joe. Might be the year of Samoa Joe. And maybe next year, in 2016, we're talking about Samoa Joe main eventing WWE pay-per-views. That would be amazing. That would be fantastic. But definitely NXT TakeOver will be a good show. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Finn Balor as well, so I've got my eye on that and see how he goes. But that's pretty much my weekly WWE wrap-up. That's pretty much it. I thought I was going to talk more about these shows, but then I realized there wasn't all that much to talk about, especially about Payback. But Elimination Chamber not too far away, so we'll see how that all unfolds. And yeah, so alright, let's talk about my weekly What is Brenden Playing at the moment, a little segment. Last week, what was I playing? I started playing Dragon Age, and what I've been doing is, if you're following my second channel, Brenden's Platinums, So I finished up 2 of my games that I've been working on for quite some time, but I just kind of put down, stopped playing for a while. I platinum Killzone Shadowfall and Watch Dogs, and Killzone Shadowfall, man, that was a grind. The online is a hell of a grind. Took a long, long time. At least 120, 140, maybe 150 hours, I would say. Had to finish the campaign twice as well, including on the hardest difficulty. It was a pretty tough platinum. Probably one of my proudest and definitely my best PS4 platinum. And Watch Dogs, man, Watch Dogs was just overrated. Watch Dogs kind of sucked. You know, the story it started off pretty well, and it just got boring, just got, dragged out. And the side things in the game, they're okay, but, man, I wouldn't recommend Watch Dogs. The game is meh. The Watch Dogs is about a 6 out of 10. It's a very average game. You can get some fun out of it, certainly get some hours out of it, probably get 40, 50 hours out of it of enjoyment, but it's definitely not the game that we all expected it to be. And I did platinum it, though. I finally finished it up. And I'm currently in between games. I don't know what to play at the moment, so what I've been doing is I've been playing Battlefield Hardline. We've been doing a kind of like a BrendenPlayz gaming night on the forums, so a lot of the guys on the forums have all got PlayStation 4s and all have Battlefield Hardline, so we've got like a big party of 6, 7, 8 of us going into the parties, and we've got our own server, and we've just been playing against each other. It's been a lot of fun, so next weekend, I'm going to try and get my own Battlefield server, and I'm going to probably host a big gaming night. So if you do have Battlefield Hardline on the PlayStation 4, and you want to come along and play, join up on the forums, and we're going to probably do an announcement about that pretty soon. I'm planning something like that. So if you definitely have the game on the PlayStation 4, you can get along and come along and join the party, and we can have a big game Battlefield Hardline. That'd be freaking awesome. So we've already got 6 or 7 or 8 of us, who have the game, so it's always a lot of fun. So we can get everyone online on a weekend, on a Saturday night or something like that. That should be pretty good, pretty cool. So, as well as that, I've been playing Dragon Age Inquisition. That's probably been my go-to in-between game. But Dragon Age, oh my god, there's so much to do in Dragon Age. It's so many side quests. It's like almost, where do you start? Well, what do you do? Where do you start? So I've got so much to do in that game, and I'm trying to get some hours into it. I'm trying to get some time in it, because I know it's a big game, so I know it's going to take me a long time to finish it, but I do want to finish it. I do want to platinum it. I do want to finish it off. And so far, so good. I got myself a horse on the game. I know I'm like 6 hours into it, so I got myself a horse on it. I'm starting to get used to the combat on the game, but the problem is, I got The Witcher. I got The Witcher 3 today, and as well as that, I got Wolfenstein, the add-on game. Where is it? I got it here. The Old Blood. So I know the other one's a New Order. I couldn't remember what it was. So the Wolfenstein, the Old Blood. So I got that today as well as The Witcher. So, man, it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. So The Witcher 3, oh my god, does it look good. I had to get it. I couldn't wait. I wanted to wait and probably wait until I finished up all my assignments and exams. Man, I can't do it. I have to get it. I have to have it. The Witcher 3, and I was at the shop buying the game, and the person who sold me the game was saying The Witcher is selling every 15 minutes. Somebody is coming in and buying this game, so the game is obviously selling big time, and I know it just came out today. So some good numbers are going to come from The Witcher. I think it could be one of the best games of the year. Have not played it yet. I'm probably going to play it after I finish this podcast, hopefully, if I'm allowed to. But hopefully I can play it. But if not, I'll probably be still playing a bit of Hardline and grinding away on that. And I'm really enjoying Hardline, though. Like, Hardline, I'm ready for a map pack. I'm ready for some new guns. But I still always have a lot of fun playing Hardline, especially with some friends. It's a lot of fun. But The Witcher, it's coming. I still need to finish the other Wolfenstein, the New Order. I still need to finish that. So that's the problem. And that's why I've been putting off buying Old Blood. I would have had it weeks ago when it did come out, but I was going to wait. But as well as that, it's been a pretty big download. So I went and got the disc of it. I didn't think they actually sold it retail, but they did. I went and got the disc, same price. Screw it, let's get it. I'm there. I'm at the shop buying The Witcher. I may as well get Wolfenstein while I'm there and play it when I'm ready. So, couple new games for me. I know I play and buy a lot of games, but yeah, so The Witcher's a must-own. So if you want a new game, and I've been recommending it to everyone, The Witcher 3, haven't personally played it, but it has the BPZ endorsement. BPZ recommended Witcher 3, this is a BPZ guarantee as well. This is going to be slap BPZ on everything. Everything I'm saying is BPZ certified. The Witcher 3 is going to be top 3 game of the year. Will it be game of the year? I'm not going to put that bold statement out there just quite yet because the year's still young. But I'm going to say it will be, at the end of the year, top 3 games of the year. And I would say at the moment, for me personally, The Witcher, Bloodborne, and I don't know if you guys dug it, but Dying Light was fucking awesome. So those are my top 3 games of the year. I don't actually have Bloodborne either, but I know it's good. It's just not my type of game, I don't think. I probably will get it, but I'm waiting for it to price drop because it's just not really my type of game. I mean, it's just a bit hard. And to be honest with you, it's just a bit hard for me. It's just a bit hard because Bloodborne, you just got to put a lot of time, a lot of patience, and you just got to keep being persistent, learn from your mistakes. It's a game that you kind of need to sit down and, really play it and just keep at it, keep trying with it. And I'm a person, once I get frustrated, I'm going to put it down, I'm going to go play something else. So that's me. So I kind of find it a little bit hard to stick with the Dark Souls or the Demon Souls and now the Bloodborne. So I'm hoping that I can get it, hoping I can get into it because definitely Bloodborne is one of the better games as well. And that pretty much does it for the gaming segment of the week. And as I said earlier on the video and the podcast, Universe Mode Survivor Series is on its way. There's really not a lot to talk about at the moment. I've recorded it. I know what happens, but I'm not going to spoil anything. All I know is it's going to be a pretty long show. I think it might be 2 hours long, so that's going to be pretty exciting to see how that goes. And obviously there's a lot of tag team matches on it, so that's really the reason why. But there's also, I think there might be 8 or 9 matches on the show. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's one of those numbers. But definitely there's a lot of matches on the show, so you're going to get a lot of value out of it. It's just the problem that the promo takes forever to make. I hate editing, but you got to do it. So I just need to sit myself down and prepare myself, get myself to edit this promo out, get the promo out, and then finish up the rest of the video. So I'm going to try and get that out as soon as I can. Sometime this week, I'm going to plan to get that done. So expect to see Universe Mode Survivor Series sometime soon. Let's hope. Let's hope I can get it out sooner rather than later. But, yeah, so let's go ahead and start to get into your listener questions as well. Not a lot of questions this week. I guess that's because everything's really kind of answered. I mean, I only pick out the questions that aren't really answered, when I'm talking about Elimination Chamber Payback. All the things that I already talked about in the podcast. I'm trying to pick out some questions that aren't already answered on what I'm going to talk about. And some of these questions I already have kind of touched on, so it's a little bit difficult. I kind of just ramble and talk about everything as I'm going. But first question comes from Glib God. His question is, what is up with Stardust? He's losing constantly. You think Cody will return or Goldust will tag with Stardust again? Well, as for Goldust, I think he's out for 4 or 5 months with an injury, so that's probably out of the cards at the moment, out of the question. But Stardust flopped. Stardust sucks. I knew it was going to suck. I'm pretty sure I said on the show months or probably a year ago when it debuted, Stardust sucks. It just sucks. Did not like it. The Goldust and Stardust thing was okay for a little bit of time, but it just felt really forced. The Stardust thing, yes, Cody does it really well. Cody's a great worker. He does everything he does is great, but it was just destined to fail. It was never going to work. It's just a gimmick that in this day and age, it's just not going to work. Even Goldust, he doesn't do all the things he does. He's just Goldust. He just wears paint and a weird suit thing, whatever he wears. So Stardust, I just think, was never destined to succeed. Should he return as Cody? Yes. Yes, he should. Does Cody really need a stupid gimmick to get himself over? Does he need dashing Cody Rhodes? Does he need mustache-wearing Cody Rhodes? Does he need all these things? Can he just be Cody Rhodes? I mean, Dolph Ziggler is just Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he's a show-off or whatever. He's got some little things about him, but for the most part, he's just kind of like Dolph Ziggler. I mean, can't Cody Rhodes just be Cody Rhodes? And he doesn't have to be this weird guy. He doesn't have to be wearing a mask. Doesn't have to be doing all these things. Can't he just be Cody Rhodes? Be a babyface Cody Rhodes? Because I think Cody Rhodes is good enough to be a mid-card guy. I don't think Cody Rhodes will ever be a main eventer. If he was going to be, it would have happened by now. Cody Rhodes has been in the company for 10 years. can remember that. 10 years. He was a World Tag Team Champion a long time ago with Hardcore Holly. Maybe not 10 years. Maybe 9 years. So something very close to 10 years. But he's been around for a long time. He's always been around the mid-card. He's always been one of those guys that could be the next breakout. But he's just always lacked the gimmick, lacked the character. But are we giving him too many characters? We're giving him too many gimmicks. We're just not letting him be himself. Is Cody Rhodes by himself good enough? You know, third generation, or second or third generation, I think it might be second. His dad's Dusty Rhodes, his brother's Goldust. Surely Cody Rhodes, you know he's good. You know he's good. The crowd, I think, will get behind him. You just got to give him a chance to be himself and flourish. And actually give him a realistic opportunity. You know, Cody Rhodes has got himself over. I think the mustache thing kind of worked. It just added a little bit of personality to him. And the problem is they're not really letting him show that personality that he has. So, Stardust to me is done. I mean, he lost in like 2 minutes. He got destroyed, I think, by Dolph Ziggler, of all people. Destroyed him on Raw. So I think Stardust is all but done. And I think people are just tired of seeing Stardust. I don't think anybody wants to see Stardust anymore. I don't. So I would be dropping the Stardust gimmick, repackage him, take him off TV for 3 months, bring him back, and then start again with Cody Rhodes. I still think he has value. I wouldn't be firing him. And I don't think they ever will, because, you know, obviously Dusty Rhodes has a lot of pull backstage, you know, well-liked, you know, they're going to try and keep him happy, keep his son there, try and keep Goldust there as well. So I think for that reason alone, you keep Cody Rhodes, but what do you do with him? Just, first of all, just take him off TV, repackage him, and see how he goes, and make some tweaks along the way. Next one's from Day 15. What's your opinion on Lana joining up with Ziggler and a potential Rusev and Ziggler feud that could result from it? It was a little strange, Lana coming along with Ziggler. I mean, Ziggler, though, has been a bit of a womanizer, and I think that's not really a part of his gimmick, but it's just kind of happened throughout his career. He's had a lot of different divas going after him, so it was a little bit weird, but not at the same time. We kind of thought, okay, Lana and Ziggler, okay, I can see that. I can see that happening. So it wasn't kind of outlandish. It was just kind of like out of the blue. It's just like, oh, wait a minute. So, you know, I think it maybe happened a little bit too fast, but it also worked pretty well. I mean, we saw Lana and Rusev kind of like break up at the beginning of the show, and then later on, an hour later, Lana's already gone out there kissing Ziggler. So it just kind of made for a perfect kind of start of a rivalry for Ziggler and Rusev. So I really like that, and I think a Rusev and Ziggler rivalry could be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens and how that goes, how they go about that. But it certainly has made the Elimination Chamber a little bit more interesting as well. Sheamus and Ryback, Ziggler and Rusev, I think Barrett and R-Truth are the reigning people, I think. So that's kind of the bit of the odd pairing there. But yeah, I like it, and I think, like I said earlier, I think it's a nice way to keep Rusev going. And I think Ziggler can really do well with Lana. I don't know if they're going to be a long-term matchup. I don't think so. I think it's just kind of like, just to keep the Rusev and Lana thing going, keep that storyline going. Ziggler's just kind of like the pawn in the storylines. So we'll see how that goes. But I do like it so far. Next one's from Bashka. What are your thoughts on a Neville and Bo Dallas feud? So that was the other thing that happened on Raw that I completely forgot about. But that's because it was very forgettable. Neville and Bo Dallas, I mean, Bo Dallas is so irrelevant at this point. He's just the guy who comes out and says, oh, boo-hoo, you just had to Bo leave, blah, blah, blah. Just tries to make fun of somebody in a bad situation, and then gets his ass handed to him. So can we really believe Bo Dallas? Not really. Not really at all. Neville's going to beat him if this is actually a legitimate rivalry. Neville's going to beat him 100% of the time. Bo Dallas has lost all credibility, so it's hard to take him seriously. But that's not to say that the rivalry won't be any good. I think it could be okay, and Neville actually had to cut a promo on Raw, which I thought was very interesting to see how it'd go. I've been very critical of his promo ability, but I guess this was this was decent. I liked it. You know, I think it personally made me like Neville a little bit more. You saw a little bit of his personality, saw what he's all about, and we got to see, you know, why Neville's on Raw, and that's why is he here. So that was a nice thing for them to do, and I think they needed to do that. So, look, I'll give it a chance, but I'm just saying Bo Dallas has been kicked to the shitter so often that do we really care about him? I don't know. We got another one from Bashka. He wants to know, what do you think about Dean Ambrose getting a title shot? And do you think Orton and Reigns will face at Elimination Chamber? So, Ambrose getting the title shot's fantastic, and continuing this rivalry is great. I think this is a really good way just to keep the rivalry going, keep the title going, and obviously Ambrose and Rollins work so well together, and it's a great to see Ambrose in the main event, great to see Ambrose doing well, great to see Ambrose getting time and looking great, being a badass, just it's fantastic. As for Orton and Reigns, like I said, I think they may just be left off the card. I think they'll just be doing nothing. I just think they'll leave them off the card, because is it a full-on blown pay-per-view? No, it's not. Leave them off the card, then build them up to be the Money in the Bank. Oh, we got another one from Basher. Jeez, he's leaving them all the questions this week are basically from him. Your thoughts on Paige's return? Look, Paige coming back, I mean, that was very forgettable. I think, whatever. I mean, Paige has been gone for a couple of months doing the movie or whatever. So, I don't really... Yeah, okay. I mean, this whole Naomi and Tamina versus the Bella thing, I just do not care at all. Naomi, the moment she came out with those stupid glasses, the glowing boots that are more distracting and more interesting than her matches, and the music that is dreadful, was the moment that she was done in my eyes. You know, the heel turn, first time it happened, okay, cool. Then she debuted, all that crap, and it's just like, ugh, come on. Stereotypical black girl, you know, hates the world, wants to get the title. She's not going to win it. There's no way she's going to win it. If she does, I would be shocked. I think Nikki's just going to beat her, be done with it. And Tamina's just there. Tamina's always just the sidekick. She's just the bodyguard. She's just the sidekick. It happened with AJ, now it's happening with Naomi, so, come on. So, nothing new there. It's just change of place. And Naomi, I don't know, Naomi to me, she's decent, but... So Paige anyway coming back, so I guess that's going to set up a triple threat, I would be guessing. I guess Paige was the number one contender. She lost that right to be thanks to Naomi, so I guess what they're going to do, triple threat at the pay-per-view for the title. So if that's the case, cool. I still think maybe Nikki walks away with champion, though. This one's from Flynn. Who do you think will be the next Intercontinental Champion? So who's going to win the IC Elimination Chamber match? I still think Sheamus is going to be the front runner, but like I said earlier, I wouldn't mind seeing Ryback win it. Barrett, please no. Please no. We don't need to see another Wade Barrett IC title run. But Sheamus, him winning the title, I think that makes sense. I wouldn't mind that. I think that works. So I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. But like I said, Ryback hasn't won a title before, and maybe you could have Ryback have a short run with it, and then have him and Sheamus feud over the title, and maybe have Sheamus beat Ryback for it, and then beat him again, and move on, and Ryback can go and do something else, and Sheamus remains champion. Final question for today's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays comes from Lord Fridge. Okay, I'll take it. Brendan, what do you think about the fact that Y2J is going to be the host of Tough Enough? So, that's another thing that happened at Payback that I forgot to mention, but we'll talk about it in a second. Y2J hosted Tough Enough. Yeah, cool. You know, it seems as though Y2J is just picking up all of Austin's scraps, so I don't know what's the go. I don't think I really talked about the Tough Enough cast and the judges, but I do like it all. The judges, Hogan, Bryan, Paige, I would have probably put Trish in there instead of Paige, but whatever. I like Bryan being there. Hogan, a lot of people criticize that, but Hogan to me, he's charismatic. He's one of the biggest stars the company's ever seen. Yeah, it works. I'm okay with it. But Paige, I just think probably too soon for her, but, you know, who else are they going to put there? I mean, Trish probably would have been a better fit, but if they're looking to get someone from current day WWE in there, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe you have that current day diva who's doing the cycle, doing everything they need to do in the real to kind of give them that perspective. Obviously, Paige has been wrestling for a long time as well. It's not as though she's been around for 2 years. She's been around for a long time. So, you know, she has a fair judgment of what makes it, what it takes to be a diva. I like the judges, Billy Gunn, Lita, and, the trainers, Billy Gunn, Lita, and Booker T. I like that lineup a lot. So all those guys, they've been training. They know what they're doing. So that's a great fit for me. But Y2J being the host, I just think, you know, it's cool. I think Y2J is a good host, and I like Y2J, big fan of Chris Jericho, so I'm happy with that. But I probably would have thought I could have seen Austin in there, to be honest. But if Austin's schedule didn't align with Tough Enough, then that's fair enough. And what I was going to mention before is that they're bringing back Stone Cold's podcast for the network, and they're bringing on Paul Heyman to be the first guest. So that's very surprising for me. I did not expect that to happen. So any issues that they may have had, they probably resolved it. I don't know. So yeah, it's good to see that come back. The question is, are they going to have Austin and Jericho's podcast at the same time? Have they realized that Jericho's cast probably wasn't as good as Austin's? Just because of the fact that Jericho is just more of a, let's talk about some stories, let's talk about what's been going on, let's talk about and reminisce all the things that have been happening throughout our careers, and, let's talk about all that. Where Austin's like, what do you think about this? What happened there? And he asks those follow-up questions as well. So Austin's probably a better podcast to listen to if you want to actually get some information out of it. You want to get something out of it rather than just an hour of reminiscing and a bit of a feel-good podcast. Austin will have those controversial questions and you'll actually get something out of it. So I think the fact that they didn't like Austin's questions was disappointing. I just think that Austin needs to interview other people. Don't interview the McMahons. If the questions are too controversial and cutting edge for Mr. McMahon and Triple H, and I know maybe Stephanie as well, I'm sure that's probably would have happened. I think Stephanie would have been Austin's next person. Maybe Stephanie got some cold feet and didn't want to, suffer a few of those questions from Austin. Maybe she pulled the trigger on Austin. I don't know. But definitely Austin coming back. Him and Heyman, they have had some great podcasts together, so that's fantastic. And I'd like to see them just get some guys on there, like get Ambrose on there, get Rollins on there, get Reigns on there, get Orton on there. I'm sure Orton has some stories. Get some other old-timers on there. Get Dusty Rhodes on there. Get Ric Flair on there. I mean, Ric Flair's crazy, but let's get him on there. Get some of these old guys on there. Let's just talk about, shit, and, let's hear some stories, and let's, have a good time for an hour. I think that's really all I want to have the 1 hour podcast on the network, and you get that video format so you can see them in the studio talking to one another. It'd be great. So Austin and Jericho, if they're both going to have podcasts going, I think that's really good because then you get more coming at once and you get a bit of a different perspective on both shows. So I like that. That's really all I have to talk about in this week's Let's Talk Tuesdays. There's a lot that happened this week, but really not a lot to dive in and discuss. I mean, we had a lot of wrestling and there's a lot that's coming up still, a lot of pay-per-views to come. But I guess we're just kind of sitting back and waiting for the next big thing, no pun intended, to happen, or, what's going to happen next. Who's going to turn, who's going to win the title. There's just been none of that. So there's been nothing to really talk about in that regard. But hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays. If you did, if you're on YouTube, please do leave a like and subscribe to see more Let's Talk Tuesday episodes come out real soon. If you're on iTunes, please go ahead and leave a rating on the show. I really would appreciate that. I don't know if we've got any ratings. I haven't actually checked it for a little bit, but I would appreciate if you guys can leave a rating. 5 stars if you really loved it. Just anything. Any ratings, any reviews would be fantastic. If you're on Spreaker, like I said earlier, if you have a Spreaker account, and if you don't, and you want to help the show out, please make a Spreaker account and follow the show on Spreaker. And that would be fantastic to help us grow the show, spread the show around, and make the show get higher up in the rankings. We're already doing very well in Spreaker, so I would appreciate the love that would continue on that. I hope you guys can keep downloading, keep watching, keep doing all that on Spreaker. As well as that, if you have Stitcher as well. We're very new on there. We haven't really done much on Stitcher and haven't really plugged it all that much. But if you do want to watch the show on Stitcher, you can do that and download the show on Stitcher and subscribe to that and help the show out on that regard. As well as that, if you want to leave a question for next week's episode, you can do that on the forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums. Go to the official Let's Talk Tuesdays thread, leave your question in there for next week's episode, and as well as that, if you're in the YouTube comment section as well, you can leave your question there. I'll go ahead and read them all. And follow me on Twitter at BrendenPlayz. We've got over 1,000 followers now, but I would like to see some more followers come along, and I tweet about everything, Universe Mode, what's been going on with me, everything to do with that you do on Twitter. Facebook as well, I have that. BrendenPlayz Official is the official Facebook link, so search that up, or just search BrendenPlayz, you should be able to find it. And yeah, if you want to join the forums as well, BrendenPlayz.com/forums, you can also sign into the forums now with your Twitter account. So if you don't want to physically make an account, if you're a bit lazy, you can use your Twitter to now sign in. So that's a new feature that I put in this week. And there's been a lot going on with the forums. It's been a crazy week on the forums. So definitely get involved if you can. That's pretty much all I have to talk about, guys. So, guys, thank you so much for coming along to this week's Let's Talk Tuesdays. Hope you all have a great Tuesday. Hope you all have a great week. And I will see you all next Tuesday. Survivor Series is coming out soon, so no more tweets about it. That'd be great. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks, guys. See you next Tuesday.